I found out my dying dad faked his illness to manipulate me into moving home, and I exposed him to everyone. The poker chips stop mid-rattle as I walk into my father's living room and say, loud enough for every man at the table to hear, Dad, I need to talk to you about your Alzheimer's, specifically about how you don't actually have it. 5 sets of eyes snap toward me. The cards in my father's hands bend at the edges. His face cycles through confusion, then recognition, then something close to panic before settling on anger. Sweetheart, we're in the middle of a game where you've spent the last hour telling these guys about your tragic diagnosis. I pull the folded pages from my back pocket, photocopies of his journal entries, his handwriting stark against the white paper, the one you made up 6 months ago to get me to quit my job and move back here. The man to his left, someone I vaguely recognize from church, sets his cards face down. Maybe this should be private. No. I unfold the first page, hands steadier than I expected. He made it public when he told all of you he was dying, when he had the whole neighborhood bringing casseroles and the prayer group lighting candles. So you get to hear this part too. My father stands, chair scraping hardwood. You're confused. The stress of caregiving, January 14th. I start reading. She finally agreed to move home. The performance is working better than expected. Mentioned the wandering incident and she bought it completely. Need to maintain consistency with the confusion episodes but avoid overdoing the repetition. I look up. That's your handwriting, Dad. Your journal. The one you kept hidden under paint cans in the garage workshop. The room goes silent except for the kitchen faucet dripping in the next room. My uncle, Dad's younger brother, pushes back from the table. His face has gone red. Tell me she's lying. She doesn't understand. February 3rd, I continue. She suggested a second neurologist opinion today. Shut it down by getting defensive. Can't risk real medical evaluation. The original doctor's note I showed her was just a printout I edited, but she never thought to verify. I pull out the second document, this one official letterhead. So I verified. Called your actual doctor, Dad. Got this in writing yesterday. No Alzheimer's diagnosis. No cognitive decline. No neurological concerns of any kind. The church guy stands. I brought you meals every Sunday. March 27th, I read. Voice harder now. She's talking about her gallery work like she misses it. Need to escalate the nighttime wandering episodes to keep her vigilant and exhausted. Can't let her have energy to question the situation. She abandoned her lease and her career. She's finally back where she belongs, taking care of me instead of wasting her life on art nobody wants. My uncle's hand hits the table, chips scattering across the felt surface, some bouncing to the floor. What the hell is wrong with you? Those are therapy exercises, my father tries, but his voice cracks. My therapist said, you don't have a therapist. I set the medical document on top of his cards. Your doctor confirmed that too. No referrals, no mental health treatment, nothing except annual physicals where you register as completely healthy for a man your age. The guy across from my uncle grabs his jacket from the chair back. I'm out. Wait! My father reaches toward him, but the man's already moving toward the door. The church guy follows. Won't meet my father's eyes as he passes. Please, my father says. But he's looking at me now, not them. You don't understand what it's been like. Alone in this house after your mother died. You left for 5 years and you disowned me, I say. For choosing art school. You told me I was dead to you and hung up when I called on your birthday. For 5 years. So you invented a terminal illness to force me back. To trap me here playing nurse to a healthy man who just wanted control. My uncle stands last, slowest, staring at his brother like he's never seen him before. You manipulative piece of work. You deserve to be alone. The front door opens and closes twice more. The house goes quiet except for my father's breathing and the relentless drip of that kitchen faucet. He's still standing there holding his cards when I turn toward the hallway to pack. I'm still standing in the doorway between the living room and hallway when my father's voice rises behind me. Those are private thoughts. You had no right to go through my things. I turn back. He set the cards down now, hands braced on the table edge like he needs it for balance. The journal pages are still spread across the poker felt, his handwriting visible even from where I stand. Private thoughts about faking a terminal illness to manipulate your daughter. That's what you're defending right now. You don't understand what it's like. His voice shifts, goes softer, like he's trying a different approach. After your mother passed, this house became... Mom died 7 years ago. You had 2 years before you disowned me. Don't use her as an excuse. The man from church pauses at the front door, hand on the knob, listening. I was grieving, my father says. I said things I didn't mean when you chose that school. I wanted to fix it, but you wouldn't answer my calls. You made 3 calls in 5 years. 3. I have the phone records because I kept hoping you'd try harder. I pick up one of the journal pages from the table. And this isn't about reconciliation. April 9th. She asked about my medications today. Told her the pharmacy handles auto refills so she wouldn't see there aren't any prescriptions. Need to be more careful about leaving pill bottles in obvious places. She's starting to notice inconsistencies. My uncle's still in his chair, but he's pushed it back far enough that he's separated from the table. You faked taking medications. I took vitamins, supplements. She assumed. You let me assume. My hands are shaking now, and I hate that he can see it. You watched me crush pills into applesauce because you said you kept forgetting to swallow them. You had me set alarms on my phone for medication schedules that didn't exist. The church guy lets the door close. He's still in the room, but standing with his back to the wall like he wants distance from the table, from my father, from all of it. I needed you home, my father says. You were throwing your life away on paintings nobody buys, living in some overpriced apartment, working retail at a gallery. I was assistant curator. I had my own show scheduled for next fall. You had a hobby that would never support you. I was trying to help. By lying about having Alzheimer's, the words come out flat. By making me watch you pretend to forget my name while you cried in the kitchen. By wandering outside at 3 in the morning so I'd have to search the neighborhood in my pajamas thinking you were lost. My uncle stands up, his chair tips backward, hits the floor with a crack that makes everyone flinch. 5 months, he says, staring at my father. I came over every Sunday for 5 months. Brought groceries. Listened to you talk about how scared you were, how you didn't want to burden her, but you had no choice. I told Margaret we should start looking at memory care facilities for when it got worse. I never asked you to. You let me. My uncle's voice is shaking. You sat in my kitchen and cried about losing yourself piece by piece, and I held your hand and told you it would be okay. Margaret cried herself to sleep after those visits because she grew up watching what Alzheimer's did to our mother, and she thought you were next. The silence that follows is different from before, heavier. My father opens his mouth but nothing comes out. Did you fake it with her too? I ask. With Aunt Margaret? The confusion and the memory loss? My father's jaw works. I might have let certain things seem worse than they were. He forgot her birthday in March, my uncle says. Called her the wrong name twice during dinner. She sobbed in the car on the way home thinking he was already slipping away. He looks at me. Was that in the journal? I flip through the pages, scanning dates. March 19th. Margaret visiting for dinner went well. Played up the name confusion and she completely bought it. Need to make sure these episodes stay consistent with what I've told others. The fear in her eyes when she corrected me was almost too much but necessary for the performance. My uncle picks up his chair, sets it upright with deliberate care, then grabs his jacket from where it's draped over the back. I don't want to see you. Wait! My father moves around the table but my uncle's already heading for the door. I buried our mother after watching Alzheimer's destroy her for 6 years. 6 years and you used that to manipulate your own daughter. He stops at the threshold, doesn't turn around. Don't call me. Don't come by. I mean it. The door closes with a soft click that somehow sounds louder than if he'd slammed it. The church guy is still standing against the wall. He's looking at the journal pages spread across the table like they're evidence at a crime scene. I'm the one who organized the prayer circle. Got 40 people praying for you every Wednesday night. My father's shoulders slump. I appreciate that. I do. I still have it. It's beautiful. I want it back. He moves toward the door. Don't come to services anymore. I'll make sure Pastor Green knows why. Then it's just me and my father in the living room with the poker chips scattered across the table and floor, the cards still face up showing a hand he'll never finish playing. He's staring at the medical document like if he looks at it long enough, the words might change. I can explain this, he finally says. No, I fold the journal pages, slip them back in my pocket. You already did, in your own handwriting. Every calculated lie. I walk down the hallway toward my old bedroom where I've been sleeping for 6 months, where my suitcase is still tucked in the closet because some part of me never fully unpacked. Behind me, I hear him sink into his chair, hear the slight hitch in his breathing that used to make me rush to his side thinking he was having an episode. Now it just sounds like what it is. A man alone in a quiet house, finally facing what he built. I sit on the edge of my childhood bed with the journal open on my lap, forcing myself to read every entry from beginning to end. The first one is dated 6 months and 2 weeks ago. Called her today. Practiced the crying beforehand. Need to sound broken but not theatrical. She didn't answer. Left voicemail about diagnosis, about being scared, about not wanting to be alone through this. Use the phrase, whatever time I have left, because it implies urgency without a specific timeline. She'll call back. She has to. My hands are steady as I turn the page. That surprises me. I thought I'd be shaking. The next entry is 3 days later. She called back. Took 18 hours. Longer than I expected, but the crying worked. She was cautious at first, asked questions about symptoms and doctors. Told her I couldn't remember the neurologist's name, that everything was foggy. She bought it. Could hear it in her voice when she shifted from suspicious to concerned. That's the crack I need. By the end of the call, she was asking if I needed help with groceries. I flipped forward, scanning dates. He wrote almost every day for the first month. She's coming home. Gave her 2 weeks notice at the gallery, broke her lease, the whole thing. Didn't think it would be this easy, but 5 years of silence made her desperate to fix things. The estrangement was useful. Gave her something to feel guilty about, so she'd be more willing to sacrifice for reconciliation. Note, need to actually research Alzheimer's symptoms better. Almost slipped today when she asked about short-term versus long-term memory loss, and I couldn't explain the difference. There's a grocery list in the margin. Milk, bread, bourbon, vitamins to leave in bathroom cabinet. I closed the journal and set it beside me on the comforter. The room looks exactly like it did when I left for college 12 years ago. Same desk, same bookshelf, same water stain on the ceiling from when the roof leaked in 2015. He kept it preserved like a shrine while simultaneously disowning me for choosing the wrong major. My phone buzzes. Text from Vanessa, my roommate back in Seattle. Hey, landlord said someone else grabbed the apartment. Your stuff is still in my garage, but I need the space soon. You coming back or should I look into storage? I stare at the message. I gave up a rent-controlled studio 4 blocks from the waterfront. Gave up the assistant curator position I'd fought for through 3 years of unpaid internships. Gave up the show I was supposed to mount next October. 15 pieces I'd been developing since grad school. Need a few more days to figure things out, I type back. I'll cover storage costs. The journal sits next to me like evidence, like proof. But proof of what, exactly? That my father is a liar. That he manipulated me. I already knew both those things the moment I started testing him, and he failed every single trap. 2 weeks ago, I told him we'd had a dog named Murphy when I was 8. We never had a dog. I'm allergic. He got this distant look and said, Murphy? God, I haven't thought about him in years. You cried for days when he died. What kind of dog was he? Golden Retriever. You picked him out at the shelter. I left the room before he could see my face. 3 days after that, I moved his checkbook from the desk drawer to the kitchen counter. Left it right next to the coffee maker where he'd have to see it every morning. Told him I was worried about him losing track of bills, that I'd found the checkbook in the bathroom which made no sense. He thanked me for finding it. Said he'd been looking everywhere, that he must have carried it in there by accident. The register showed entries from that same morning, recorded in his neat, careful handwriting with running balances calculated to the cent. I pick up the journal again, flip to an entry from 8 weeks ago. She started asking about doctor appointments. Wants to come with me to the neurologist. Problem, there is no neurologist. Called Dr. Patterson's office and explained the situation. Said I needed a letter confirming diagnosis for insurance purposes. Receptionist said they'd need me to come in for that. Too risky. She might call to verify. Better approach. Tell her the appointments are early morning when she's still asleep, or during her grocery runs. Make sure schedules never align. If she pushes, get defensive. Confusion and anger go together with this disease. She'll back off to avoid upsetting me. The next paragraph makes my stomach turn. It's working better than expected. She's gentle with me now. Patient. This is what I wanted when she was younger. this attentiveness, but she was always so focused on her art, on getting away. Now she makes my coffee in the morning and asks if I slept well. She checks on me before bed. Yesterday, she held my hand while we watched television, and I almost felt guilty. Almost. I set the journal on the desk and walk to the window. The street outside is dark except for porch lights. Mrs. Chen across the road has her living room curtains open, television flickering blue against the walls. Normal people doing normal things while I stand in my childhood bedroom holding evidence that my father spent 6 months performing a terminal illness like community theater. My phone buzzes again. Different number this time, one I don't recognize. This is Pastor Green from Lighthouse Fellowship. I heard about what happened tonight. I'm very sorry for what you're going through. I wanted you to know we'll be praying for your family during this difficult time. I read it twice before I understand. He thinks I'm the one who needs prayer. He thinks this is difficult for me because my father is sick. He's not sick, I type. He lied about having Alzheimer's to manipulate me into moving home. I have medical records proving he was never diagnosed. The 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again, then nothing. I pull up my email and attach photos of every journal page, the medical clearance from Dr. Patterson, and the statement I made him write 6 days ago when I scheduled the appointment myself and sat in the exam room while he admitted to his physician that he'd never had symptoms, never been tested, never been diagnosed with anything except high blood pressure and seasonal allergies. Dr. Patterson was quiet for a long time after that. Then he printed out my father's full medical history, highlighted the sections showing routine visits with nothing neurological flagged, and wrote a formal statement confirming no cognitive decline had ever been noted or treated. My father sat in the exam chair with his hands folded in his lap like a child being scolded, and when we left, he said, "You didn't have to embarrass me like that." I send the email to Pastor Green, then forward it to my aunt, my 2 cousins, and every family email address I can find in my contacts. The subject line is, "Medical records re, Dad's diagnosis." No explanation needed. The documents speak clearly enough. Another text comes through, this one from my cousin Blake. "Is this real? Uncle David said he has Alzheimer's. We were planning to visit next month. It's real. The diagnosis was fake, all of it." 3 dots, then, holy hell. I hear movement downstairs. Water running in the kitchen. The coffee maker starting its brewing cycle even though it's almost 11 at night. My father making noise so I'll know he's awake. Maybe hoping I'll come down and we can talk. I pull my suitcase from the closet instead. It takes 20 minutes to pack everything I brought from Seattle. Clothes, toiletries, my laptop, the framed photo of my mother I kept on the nightstand. She's smiling in it, standing in front of the house with her gardening gloves on, dirt smudged across her cheek. That was the summer before she got sick, before everything fell apart the first time. My father used to tell me I looked like her. Same eyes, same stubborn chin. He'd say it like an accusation, but looking at it makes my chest feel tight in a way that has nothing to do with fear or sadness. It's rage, clean and cold, and I want to keep it sharp. I leave the journal exactly where it is, spine cracked open to the entry about him practicing crying before he called me. Let him find it there in the morning. Let him know I read every word and still chose to leave. Downstairs, the coffee maker beeps. My father's footsteps move from kitchen to living room, hesitate, then head toward the stairs. I grab my suitcase and walk out through the back door instead, the one that leads through the garage to the driveway where my car is parked. The motion sensor light clicks on as I pass, bright enough that I have to squint. He'll hear the car start. He'll know I'm leaving. I load the suitcase in the trunk and sit in the driver's seat with the door still open, engine off. The house looks smaller from here, less like the place I grew up and more like a building I used to know, back when I was someone else. My phone lights up with another text. Aunt Margaret this time. "Got your email. I don't understand. He seemed so confused when we visited. Are you sure about this?" I take a photo of the journal entry about her birthday, the one where he wrote about playing up the name Confusion, about her fear being necessary for the performance. Send it without comment. Then I start the car and back out of the driveway. The living room curtain moves as I shift into drive, just enough that I know he's watching. I don't look back. The drive back to Seattle takes 11 hours if I push through, longer if I stop. I make it 3 exits before I pull into a rest area and sit with the engine running, heat blasting even though it's not that cold. My phone won't stop. Text after text, most of them from numbers I haven't seen in years. Blake again. "Mom is freaking out. She's calling Uncle David right now." Then Aunt Margaret. "He's not answering. I've tried 4 times." A number I don't recognize. "This is Dennis from the church. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Your father has been very open about his struggles with us." I type back, read the medical records I sent, then ask him why his doctor says he was never diagnosed. 3 dots appear and disappear twice before Dennis responds. "I'll pray on this." I delete the thread. Another message comes through, this one from my father. "He must have gotten someone else's phone. Please come back. We can talk about this. You're upset and I understand, but leaving like this isn't fair to either of us." I read it 3 times looking for the angle, the play. He's not denying anything, not apologizing, just reframing my reaction as the problem. Classic. "Fair would have been not lying about terminal illness for 6 months." I send back. "Fair would have been letting me keep my job and my life." The response is immediate. "I was lonely. You were gone for 5 years. I'm your father." My hands tighten on the steering wheel. He's doing it again. The same script he always used when I was younger. Guilt as currency. Obligation as weapon. "You disowned me for going to art school. You told me I was wasting my potential and you didn't want to hear from me until I grew up. Those were your words." The 3 dots pulse for a long time. I was angry. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. I thought you'd come back on your own eventually and we could fix things, but you never did. I had to do something. I stare at that message until the screen dims. He had to do something. Like faking Alzheimer's was a reasonable next step in conflict resolution. I block the number and pull back onto the highway. 2 hours later, just past the Oregon border, my phone rings. Aunt Margaret. I almost don't answer, but she's the only family member who didn't take his side during the estrangement. She sent me a card on my birthday every year with a $20 bill inside, and a note that said, "Still proud of you." "I'm driving," I say when I pick up. "I know. Blake told me you left." Her voice is careful, like she's testing weight on ice. "I talked to your father." "And?" "He says you're misunderstanding the journal entries, that he was writing fiction, working through feelings about aging and mortality, and you took it literally." I laugh, sharp enough that it hurts my throat. "Did he explain why his fictional journal includes real dates that match up with real phone calls and real events? Did he explain the part where his doctor confirmed he was never diagnosed?" Silence on her end, long enough that I checked to make sure the call didn't drop. Margaret? I'm here. She sounds tired. He's saying the doctor misunderstood what he was asking for, that there was confusion about paperwork. He's lying. I was in the room when Dr. Patterson reviewed his entire medical history. There's no confusion. He faked everything. I believe you. The words come fast, like she's been holding them back. I do. But he's my brother, and he's calling everyone saying you've had some kind of breakdown, that the stress of caregiving made you paranoid, and now you're seeing conspiracies where there aren't any. People are listening. My exit is coming up. I signal right, hands moving automatically while my brain tries to process what she just said. Who's listening? Dennis from church called me. Mrs. Chen from across the street. Your cousin Amy. They all got the email you sent, but your father's been doing damage control since you left, calling it a mental health crisis. Yours, not his. The rest area is empty except for 2 semis parked at the far end. I pull into a spot near the bathrooms and kill the engine. He's telling people I'm having a breakdown. He's telling people you've been under a lot of strain and you misinterpreted some personal writing. He sounds very calm when he explains it. Very reasonable. And you know how he is. How he can make people believe him. I do know. I watched him do it my entire childhood. Watched him rewrite arguments until he was always the victim. Always misunderstood. What about the medical records? The statement from his doctor? He's saying you pressured Dr. Patterson into writing that. That you told the doctor you needed proof for insurance purposes and twisted his words. My vision blurs at the edges. Not tears, just rage so bright it wipes everything out for a second. That's not what happened. I know. But he's convincing and you're 3 states away and people want to believe the version that makes sense to them. Sick father, stressed daughter, miscommunication. It's easier than accepting he lied about terminal illness. A semi pulls in next to me, engine rumbling loud enough to shake my car. The driver climbs out, stretches, heads toward the vending machines. What do? Margaret exhales slowly. I don't know. But you need to understand he's not just going to let this go. He's scared, cornered, and he's going to fight back the only way he knows how. By making me look crazy. By making himself look sympathetic. She pauses. He's planning something for this weekend. Poker night. He does it every month. Has the guys over, plays cards. He mentioned it twice when I talked to him. Said he wasn't sure if he should cancel given everything that's happened, but his friends keep telling him to go ahead with it. That routine is important. He wants an audience. He wants witnesses. People who'll see him looking frail and confused and believe whatever story he's selling. I lean my head back against the seat. The overhead light in the rest area flickers, casting shadows that make the whole place look like a stage set. When's the poker night? Saturday, 8 o'clock? Same as always. 3 days from now. Thanks for telling me. I don't know yet. We hang up, and I sit in the parking lot watching the semi-driver buy chips from the vending machine, methodical about it, taking his time with each selection. Normal person doing a normal thing at 2 in the morning. My phone buzzes with an email notification. The gallery in Seattle, my old boss. Hey, heard you're dealing with family stuff. No pressure, but we have an opening for a short-term installation coordinator if you're back in town soon. 3-month contract, decent pay. Let me know. I forward it to myself twice like I'm afraid it'll disappear. Then I open my Maps app and plug in my father's address. 11 hours back, maybe 10 if I drive straight through. Saturday night, poker game. All his friends gathered around the table, drinks in hand, probably a collection jar on the counter for medical expenses that don't exist. I can picture it perfectly. Him shuffling cards with that careful precision he always used, making some joke about his memory while everyone laughs sympathetically. Poor Philip, such a fighter. His daughter just doesn't understand how hard this is. The semi-driver climbs back into his truck and pulls away, taillights disappearing down the highway. I put the car in reverse and head back toward the freeway. But instead of continuing north toward Seattle, I take the exit that loops back south. 3 days should be enough time to make copies of everything. Enough time to practice exactly what I'm going to say when I walk into that living room and interrupt his performance. He wants witnesses, fine, he'll get them. But this time, they're going to hear the truth. I spend Thursday in a motel outside Portland making copies. The journal pages, the medical records, Dr. Patterson's statement on official letterhead. I print everything twice, organize it into folders, rehearse what I'm going to say until the words feel like muscle memory. Friday morning, I drive the rest of the way back, arriving just after noon. I don't go to the house. Instead, I park 3 blocks away and walk to the coffee shop where Blake works weekday shifts. She's wiping down tables when I come in, and her face does something complicated when she sees me. You came back, just for tomorrow night. She glances toward the counter where her manager is ringing up an order. He's been calling everyone, Mom, Uncle David, people from church. Says you're not well, that the stress made you see things that weren't there. I know, Margaret told me. Blake sets down her rag and lowers her voice. Mrs. Chen stopped by the house yesterday with a casserole. She told Dad she was praying for both of you, that mental health struggles run in families and there's no shame in getting help. The coffee machine hisses behind us. Someone laughs at a table near the window. He's telling people I'm mentally ill. He's telling people you're fragile. That caregiving broke something in you and now you're lashing out because you can't handle what's happening to him. Blake picks up the rag again, folds it into precise squares. It's working. People want to believe him. What about you? She meets my eyes. I read the journal pages you sent. I called Dr. Patterson's office myself and asked if Dad had ever been a patient there for neurological issues. The receptionist said she couldn't discuss specifics but confirmed he'd only ever come in for routine physicals. She pauses. So no, I don't believe him. But I'm 19 and still living at home, and if I say that out loud, I'm the next one he'll start rewriting. I want to tell her she's braver than I was at 19, that she's already seeing through him in ways that took me years. Instead, I just nod. Tomorrow night, poker game. You know about it? He mentioned it. Said he wasn't sure he should host given everything, but his friends insisted. They want to support him. Her voice flattens on the last part. It's Victor, Dennis from church, Mr. Halloway from down the street, and Uncle David. Same group as always. I'm going to be there. Blake's hand's still on the rag. He's going to lose it if you show up. Good. She studies me for a long moment, then reaches into her apron pocket and pulls out a key. Back door. The lock sticks so you have to jiggle it, but it's quieter than coming through the front. Gets you straight into the kitchen. I take the key. Thank you. I'm working tomorrow night, double shift, so whatever happens, I didn't know about it. Understood. She goes back to wiping tables and I leave through the side exit, the key warm in my palm. Saturday drags. I stay at the motel, organizing my folders, checking and rechecking that everything's in order. Around 6, I drive to a store 3 towns over and buy a small recording device, the kind people use for lectures. I test it twice to make sure it works. At 7:30, I park 2 streets away and walk to the house through the backyard route I used as a teenager sneaking out. The motion sensor light doesn't come on. Burned out bulb Dad never replaced because he always said he'd get to it next weekend. The back door key works exactly like Blake described. I slip into the kitchen and stand in the dark, listening. Voices from the living room, laughter, the sound of cards being shuffled. Philip, you're dealing this hand like you've got somewhere better to be. That's Victor, my father's oldest friend. They've known each other since high school. Just focused. My father's voice warm and easy. You know how I get. We know you're beating us is what we know. Dennis this time. 3 hands in a row. Some Alzheimer's patient you are. Silence. Then my father laughs, but it sounds forced. Come on, don't joke about that. Sorry, bad timing. Dennis again. Just meant you're playing sharp tonight. It's good to see. I move closer to the doorway, staying in the shadows. The living room is exactly how I remember it. Same furniture, same layout. 4 men around the poker table. Drinks sweating rings onto coasters. Chips stacked in uneven towers. My father sits facing away from me, shoulders relaxed, dealing cards with steady hands. Uncle David is to his right, frowning at his hand. Victor and Dennis on the other side. And Mr. Halloway just arriving from the bathroom. Ante up, my father says. Victor, you're talking big for someone who lost $40 last week. That was a fluke and you know it. They settle into the rhythm of the game. Betting, folding, the quiet commentary that fills space between hands. My father tells a story about forgetting where he parked at the grocery store, plays it for laughs, and the men respond with sympathetic chuckles. It's the little things that get you, Dennis says. My aunt had dementia and she'd forget her car every time. We had to start taking photos of where we parked. I step into the doorway. You should. Except you don't actually forget where you park, do you, Dad? 5 heads snap toward me. My father's face goes through several expressions in rapid succession, landing on something between anger and panic. What are you doing here? Came for poker night. Thought your friends should know what they're actually supporting. Victor sets down his cards. Maybe this isn't the time. It's exactly the time. I walk further into the room, folders in hand. You've all been so generous. Bringing meals, offering to drive him to appointments, donating to help with medical costs. I wanted to make sure you knew where that generosity was going. My father stands up. I asked you to leave. This is my house. It's the house I grew up in. The house you guilted me into moving back to because you said you were dying. I opened the first folder. Except you're not dying. You were never diagnosed with Alzheimer's or any cognitive decline. Your doctor confirmed it in writing. I hand the medical statement to Uncle David. He reads it slowly, eyes moving line by line. Dennis shifts in his chair. Philip, what's she talking about? She's confused. My father says quickly. We've been over this. She's been under a lot of stress and she's misinterpreting things. Read it out loud, I tell Uncle David, please. Uncle David clears his throat. This is to certify that Philip Brennan has been a patient at this practice for 12 years. He has undergone routine physical examinations annually and has no history of neurological complaints or diagnoses. At no time has he been evaluated for or diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease or any form of dementia. The room goes quiet. Mr. Halloway reaches for the paper, reads it himself. My father's jaw tightens. That doctor doesn't know what he's talking about. I got a second opinion, a specialist, and the diagnosis was clear. Then why isn't there any record of it? I pull out the second folder. These are your insurance claims for the past 2 years. Every appointment, every test, every prescription. Nothing neurological. Just routine checkups and that time you sprained your ankle last spring. Victor takes the insurance papers, scans them. His expression shifts. And this, I continue, opening the third folder, is your journal. The one you kept hidden in the garage under paint cans. The one where you wrote about maintaining the performance and getting me back where I belong. I read the first entry out loud. March 15th. Called her today. Cried on the phone. Told her about the diagnosis. She bought it completely. Sounded devastated. Good. Maybe now she'll realize family matters more than some art gallery job that's going nowhere. My father lunges forward and grabs at the papers. That's private. You had no right. Uncle David catches his arm. Let her finish. I read 3 more entries. Each one worse than the last. The planning, the calculated moments of confusion, the satisfaction when I quit my job and moved back. When I stop, no one's looking at my father. They're all staring at their cards, their drinks, anywhere but at him. Dennis speaks first. You faked terminal illness to manipulate your daughter into giving up her life. It wasn't like that. My father's voice cracks. I was lonely. She'd been gone for 5 years and I just wanted my family back. I exaggerated some symptoms, made things sound worse than they were, but I never meant any real harm. You told us you were dying, Victor says quietly. You let us believe we were helping someone through the worst thing that could happen to a person. I was going through the worst thing, being alone, being forgotten by my own daughter. You disowned me, I say. You told me not to contact you until I stopped wasting my life on art. I was angry. I said things I didn't mean, but you never tried to fix it, never reached out, so I had to do something to bring you back. Mr. Halloway pushes back from the table. This is sick. People actually dying from Alzheimer's would give anything for the time you pretended to lose, and you used it like a con. You're right, I tell him. It won't change that you're my father, but it will change whether I let you keep weaponizing it. Uncle David stands up. I'm done here. Philip, you need help, but not the kind you've been pretending to need. He walks out. Victor and Mr. Halloway follow without saying goodbye. Dennis lingers at the door. The prayer group raised $800 for your medical expenses. I'm going to tell them what it actually paid for. Then he's gone too, and it's just me and my father in the living room with cards scattered across the table and drinks going warm. My father sits back down heavily. You've ruined everything. No, Dad. You did that yourself the day you decided love was something you could fake to get what you wanted. I leave the folders on the table and walk out through the front door this time. No need to hide. Behind me, I hear something crash. Maybe a glass, maybe a chair. I don't turn around to check. The night air is cold and clean, and I stand on the front lawn for a minute, letting it fill my lungs. Lights are on in Mrs. Chen's house across the street, in the Halloway's place next door. People who believed him, who brought casseroles and sympathy and prayers. By tomorrow morning, they'll all know the truth. I get in my car and drive back to the motel, and for the first time in 6 months, I sleep through the entire night without waking up to check if my father's wandering the house or standing confused in the hallway, because he never was, and now everyone knows it.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your favorite part in the comments. See you in the next one.